All right, so are you ready? Today, we're going to take a deep dive into Michelle Obama's Becoming.
Oh, yeah, this is a good one.
Yeah, it's one of those books that, kind of took the world by storm.
Yeah, it really
Rock.
did. Yeah.
So we're going to try to extract some of those, those insights into her life, her values, and the experiences that kind of made her who she is.
I think what's great about this book is it's not just a straight biography.
Right.
It's really about those formative experiences and how they changed her.
Exactly. Exactly. And the book kicks off with her childhood on the south side of Chicago.
Hmm.
And right away, you can see those foundational blocks of her personality.
Right, from the beginning. And, she talks about growing up in, her family's apartment. She calls it cramped.
Yeah.
And then contrasting that with a friend's home that's as big as heaven and filled with jazz music.
Oh, wow.
Right away, she's exposed to these different realities.
Yeah, and it makes you think, how much of that kind of early exposure to different socioeconomic realities shaped her worldview.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you see that reflected throughout the book.
And then there's this really interesting anecdote she shares about a piano recital when she was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
Young Michelle, totally prepared, playing with this like incredible confidence and grace.
Grace, yeah, and focus, right?
Yeah, and it's like this perfect illustration of that strong work ethic
Right.
that her father, Fraser, instilled in her.
Mm,
But it goes beyond just, following the rules.
right.
Remember that story from kindergarten where she insists on a second chance to, get those color cards right?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like she knew she could do it.
She knew. She knew she had it in her.
And it just speaks volumes about her mother, Marion, encouraging her to think for herself, to speak up, when something's not right.
Exactly. And that's a theme that comes back again and again.
Totally. And this kind of brings up this really crucial question. How did she navigate those really complex issues of race and place,
Mm,
especially in a neighborhood that's undergoing so much change?
yeah, right. So South Shore back then was this incredibly diverse neighborhood.
Right.
You had families from all different backgrounds, all different income levels, all living side by side.
Wow.
But it's important to remember this is a time when things are starting to shift. Wealthier families are beginning to move to the suburbs,
Right.
and that really changes the dynamic of the neighborhood.
And she doesn't shy away from talking about her own, experiences with prejudice.
Right.
Like this story about Dee Dee, her friend's sister, who always had these cutting remarks.
Oh, yeah.
But instead of, letting it get to her, Michelle chose to earn respect.
Hmm.
It's just amazing.
She rose above it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Hmm.
And then there's that incident where their car gets vandalized during a visit to the suburb.
Oh, right, right.
But the family decides to stay put.
Yeah,
And that says a lot about their commitment to their community
absolutely.
and their refusal to be driven away by fear.
Yeah, it's powerful.
It is. It's powerful. And we can't talk about, this deep dive without exploring the impact of family and relationships.
Oh, for sure.
Her brother, Craig, plays such a huge role.
He does. He's such a presence in the book.
Yeah, you've got Craig in with his, effortless social skills and athletic prowess.
Right, Mr. Popular.
And then you contrast that with Michelle's, her initial preference for like solitary activities.
Right. Totally different personality.
But yet such a strong bond.
Oh, yeah. Unshakable.
And then those Sunday dinners at their grandparents' home.
Oh, yeah.
Such a cherished tradition.
Right. Like a window into that family dynamic.
Exactly. All that warmth and strength of those family connections.
And then there's the Jackson household,
Right.
with Santita and her siblings exposed to the world of politics through their father, Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Yeah, it's like all these different influences swirling around.
Right, exactly. Different worlds colliding.
And it's fascinating because even then, in the midst of all that, what she calls the chaos of politics,
Yeah.
Michelle felt a certain discomfort.
Right.
And her mother, sharp as ever, picked up on that right away.
Always insightful.
Always insightful.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how that early unease with the political sphere kind of foreshadows her later reluctance,
Mm.
To embrace her husband's political aspirations.
Yeah, like a little hint of what's to come.
Exactly.
Mm.
And, speaking of Michelle's journey, her education at Whitney Young High School and then Princeton,
Oh, yeah, packed with insights.
packed with insights.
Yeah.
Those long bus rides to Whitney Young gave her a glimpse into the world of professionals in downtown Chicago,
Oh, wow.
right? And she talks about this stark contrast between her experiences and those of the more privileged,
Yeah.
Jack and Jill kids at her school.
Right. It's like she's navigating these different worlds
Different world.
there.
And then at Princeton, she faces a whole different kind of isolation,
Right.
navigating a predominantly white environment.
Mm-hmm.
And she talks about, affirmative action and how she observed many versions of it.
Right. It's a complex issue for sure.
Very complex.
Yeah.
And then there's her roommate, Suzanne, nicknamed Scroozy.
Oh, yeah. I love that nickname.
Right. With this carefree attitude.
Total opposite of Michelle.
Total opposite.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show, her ability to connect with people from all walks of life.
Absolutely. And that's a strength that she carries with her.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
So after Princeton, she steps into the corporate world at Sidley and Austin.
Right.
And she becomes, as she describes it, trilingual.
Trilingual.
Yeah, effortlessly switching between the language of the South Side, the Ivy League, and the legal profession.
Oh, wow. I love that. That's a great way to put it.
Isn't it? And it really speaks to her adaptability,
Mm.
her ability to, navigate these different social and professional settings.
Right.
It's a skill that would prove invaluable throughout her life.
For sure. For sure. And it's at Sidley and Austin that her path takes this unexpected turn
Right.
with the arrival of a summer associate named Barack Obama.
Barack Obama.
I know, right?
What a moment.
Talk about a pivotal moment.
Pivotal. And at first she's assigned as his advisor, tasked with helping him adjust to the firm.
Yeah. Making sure he feels welcome.
Right. And she's taking him to these fancy lunches, all expensed to Sidley.
Living the good life.
Little did she know their connection would blossom into something much deeper.
Right. Fate had other plans.
Fate had other plans.
Mm.
And it's not love at first sight, right?
No. Not exactly.
She found him a bit too laid back. She even calls him out for his smoking habit.
I can imagine that.
But as they spent more time together, those conversations went deeper,
Right.
revealing shared values, a growing admiration.
Mm-hmm.
And remember that anecdote about her secretly deciding not to read his memo.
Oh, yeah.
It just speaks volumes about, that evolving dynamic of their relationship.
Right. Still keeping that professional distance.
Yeah, but also intrigued.
Totally.
But it's when she witnesses Barack's community organizing work that her perspective really shifts.
Right. That's a turning point.
That scene at the church in Roseland,
Yeah.
where he talks about empowering the community.
Mm-hmm.
It's a game changer for her.
What's so interesting is how their definitions of hope kind of clash.
Oh, yeah.
Michelle's hope was about, personal advancement,
Mm-hmm.
while Barack's hope was this broader vision of social change.
Oh,
It really made her realize that, you could have an impact beyond just your own personal success.
right. And that's a theme that kind of echoes throughout her life.
Absolutely. Especially later as First Lady.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So from there, their relationship takes off,
Mm-hmm.
leading to this marriage proposal that's as unconventional as their courtship.
Oh, yeah. That proposal story.
Right. He pops the question during a celebratory dinner after passing the bar exam.
Right.
But at the same time, he's like arguing against the institution of marriage.
Classic Barack rigor.
Classic Barack overthinking everything.
But it shows their connection.
Totally.
And Michelle's ability to see past his, contradictions.
Yeah, she gets him.
She does. She does.
But their journey wasn't without its challenges.
Right. Life is never that simple.
No, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
They had to navigate work-life balance, face the heartbreaking reality of infertility,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually make that difficult decision to pursue in vitro fertilization.
Yeah. It's a tough journey for any couple.
It is. And
Yes.
it's something she speaks about so openly and honestly in the book.
Right.
It's really powerful.
It is. It shows a different side of her.
And just as they're settling into family life, Barack's political aspirations start to take shape,
Right.
setting them on a path neither of them could have fully anticipated.
It's like the next chapter is about to begin. And what's really interesting is how Michelle's initial, hesitation about the whole campaign trail thing, it really came from, her deepest values.
Absolutely.
She was all about stability, family first, and she was really worried about the impact that, a presidential campaign could have on their lives.
Yeah, and you can't blame her for that, right?
No, not at all.
I mean, think about it. She was a working mom, juggling this demanding job at the University of Chicago hospitals, raising 2 young daughters. And then on top of that, supporting her husband's, political ambitions.
That's a lot for anyone to handle.
It's a lot.
Yeah,
And, so many women can relate to that struggle.
absolutely trying to find that balance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And remember when Barack was kind of wrestling with the decision of whether to run for Congress?
Oh, yeah.
He framed it as, this family decision.
Right. Even though he was probably already leaning towards yes.
Even though he was probably already leaning towards yes.
Huh?
But Michelle, She's so smart. She used that opportunity to connect him with Valerie Jarrett,
Oh, that's right.
knowing that Valerie's, experience and perspective would really resonate with him.
It's like she was playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers.
Exactly. Such a power move.
It really shows her strategic thinking.
Yeah, and her deep understanding of her husband.
For sure. And speaking of strategy, remember how she was initially like so resistant to campaigning?
Oh yeah, she was worried about the impact on their family,
Right.
but then eventually she found her voice.
And what a voice it was.
Right. Like that evolution is key.
It is.
She realized the power of storytelling.
Yeah.
Connecting with voters on a personal level.
Sharing her own experiences as a working mom.
Exactly. And she wasn't afraid to voice her concerns either.
Right. She was very vocal about her needs.
Like, remember how she pushed for changes to the campaign schedule to accommodate, her work and her family commitments?
Oh, yeah. She set boundaries.
She set boundaries.
Yeah.
And she even negotiated for a more manageable travel budget. Practical.
Yeah, she wasn't going to let things spiral out of control.
It shows her, practicality, her determination to make it all work.
And it shows that she wasn't just like a passive bystander
No.
in Barack's political journey.
Right.
She was actively shaping the campaign.
Advocating for her needs and ultimately finding a way to contribute authentically.
Yeah, on her own terms.
And then there was the 2004 Democratic National Convention,
Oh, wow. That was a big one.
where Barack was chosen to deliver the keynote address.
Can you imagine the pressure?
I can't even imagine the pressure on both of them.
A relatively unknown state senator
Right.
thrust onto the national stage.
It was a huge moment.
Yeah, not just for Barack's career,
Right.
but for their family as a whole.
And Michelle had to reconcile her own, personal reservations
Right.
with this overwhelming momentum of the campaign.
It's like a force of nature.
Yeah, and she did it all while still being, a hands-on mom.
Yeah, she never lost sight of what was important.
Remember that adorable anecdote about their daughter Malia's response
Oh, yeah.
when Barack asked if he should run for president?
What did she say?
Sure, Daddy.
So cute.
Completely oblivious.
Oblivious to the whirlwind that was about to unfold.
It's just a sweet reminder that amidst all the chaos,
Yeah.
their family was still at the center.
The center of it all.
Mhm.
But with Barack's rising profile came increased scrutiny.
Yeah, that's the downside.
And Michelle was not immune to that.
No one is immune to that.
The infamous fist bump incident.
Oh, yeah.
And that distorted portrayal of her as, angry or
Like
disgruntled.
frustrating, isn't it?
It just highlights those double standards,
Yeah.
that women, especially women of color, often face in the public eye.
It's a reminder how pervasive those stereotypes can be.
It really is.
Yeah.
And Michelle's experience just underscores, how quickly perceptions can be twisted,
Right.
particularly when race and gender intersect.
It's a dangerous combination.
But she didn't let those attacks define her.
Right. She rose above it.
Remember how she addressed the controversy head on,
Oh,
reframing her passion as a strength
Right.
and emphasizing the importance of staying true to herself.
That's so important.
It is. And then came the historic 2008 election.
Wow. What a moment in history.
I know. Can you imagine Michelle in a suite at the Hyatt Regency watching those election returns come in?
With family or friends.
With family and friends, the tension, the anticipation.
And that growing realization that her husband was about to become the first Black president of the United States.
It gives me chills just thinking about it.
It's a moment that transcends politics.
It does.
It's about hope, progress.
a shattering of a centuries-old barrier.
But amidst all that euphoria, there was also this, realization that life as they knew it was about to change forever.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Remember Michelle's reaction upon seeing the presidential motorcade for the first time?
I do.
She jokingly asked if it came with a clown car.
Completely overwhelmed by the security and protocol.
It's a funny anecdote,
It is.
but it's also kind of poignant.
Right.
It highlights those sacrifices that come with public life.
The loss of privacy.
Yeah, the constant scrutiny.
And that bubble extended to their daughters, Malia and Sasha.
Of course.
Uprooted from their home in
All
Chicago,
right.
thrust into this unfamiliar world of Washington, D.C.,
New school, new friends.
adjusting to life in the public eye.
That's a lot for kids to handle.
It is. And through it all, Michelle remained committed to her family.
Right. Family first.
She prioritized the girls' well-being,
Mm-hmm.
made sure they had a sense of normalcy amidst those extraordinary circumstances.
Like, remember that story about her insisting on walking them to school on their first day?
Despite all the security concerns,
It's a powerful image.
it is a mother protecting her children
Fiercely.
Why the whole world is watching their every move.
And then came the inauguration.
The inauguration.
A day filled with both joy and solemnity.
That moment on the Capitol steps with Barack taking the oath of office.
It marked a turning point in American history.
Didn't it?
It did. A symbol of progress, hope.
The possibility of a more inclusive and just society.
And Michelle standing by his side.
Her daughter's beaming with pride.
Such a powerful image.
It
A
is
symbol of strength, grace.
a new era of representation.
Exactly. But, becoming isn't just about, reaching the White House. It's
Right.
about the journey that unfolds within those walls, the challenges and the triumphs of being the first Black First Lady.
And the enduring power of Michelle Obama's voice. So now we kind of get to the heart of it, right? Like life inside the White House.
Right, behind the scenes.
And what really struck me was how Michelle, despite all the grandeur and, the formality.
And the pomp and circumstance.
Yeah, she manages to make it feel like a real home.
Right, for her family.
For her family and, in a way, for the country.
Right. It's like she opened the doors and let everyone in.
Yeah, it was more than just redecorating.
Yeah.
It was about infusing the space with this sense of warmth and personality.
Right, and a touch of humor, too.
Oh, yeah. You can't forget that anecdote about the loose animals on the White House lawn during a state dinner.
Oh my gosh, I'd forgotten about that.
Talk about unexpected chaos.
In the midst of, perfectly planned diplomacy.
Right, even in the most controlled environments, life can throw you a curveball.
It sure can.
But it also highlights, Michelle's ability to find the humor in it all.
Right, never take yourself too seriously.
And, people really connect with that.
They do. It makes her relatable.
Exactly. And speaking of creating a welcoming atmosphere, what about the White House garden?
The garden. Ah, that was such a great symbol.
It wasn't just for show.
No, not at all. It was a passion project for her.
Right.
A way to promote healthy eating community.
And who can forget those iconic jars of honey?
Honey! Oh, yeah, from the White House beehives.
Such a unique gift.
Right. Who else gives that as a gift?
It's those little personal touches
Yeah.
that make her story so relatable.
Right. She wasn't just this distant figure. She
Right.
was a working mom, a wife, a daughter.
Navigating the same complexities of life that we all do.
Exactly. But just under these incredibly extraordinary circumstances.
Right. And she definitely used her platform to champion causes she believed in.
Oh, yeah. She was a force to be reckoned with.
Let's move. Her initiative to combat childhood obesity, joining forces supporting military families.
Right. Causes close to her heart.
And she wasn't afraid to tackle those difficult conversations.
Oh, no. She never shied away from anything.
Her speech at the 2012 Democratic National Convention,
Oh, that was a powerful speech.
she talked about hope and resilience in the face of adversity.
And it resonated with people.
It did, across the political spectrum,
Yeah, she had that ability to connect with people,
on a human level.
regardless of their political views.
And of course, education,
Education, huge focus.
especially for girls and young women.
Right, empowering the next generation.
From her trips to Africa to her work with that school in London,
The Elizabeth Garrett Anderson School.
she was just this tireless advocate for education.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, reach higher.
Oh, yes.
Reach higher.
Encouraging young people to pursue their dreams.
It's inspiring how she didn't just focus on, the high achievers.
Right.
She went out of her way to connect with those students who were often overlooked.
Letting them know that they had the potential to do great things.
Yeah, everyone deserves a chance.
But, Becoming doesn't shy away from the tough stuff either.
No, it's a very honest book.
Michelle's very candid about the toll that public life can take on a family.
Right.
She talks about the bubble, that feeling of isolation,
Yeah, the isolation that can come with living in the White House.
and the emotional impact of tragedies like Sandy Hook.
It's clear that those events really weighed heavily on her.
It would on anyone.
But even in those darker moments, she finds comfort in those simple joys of life.
Right, the things that really matter.
Her family, her daughters, her husband.
Oh, and Sunny the dogs.
Those were her anchors.
Yeah, the things that kept her grounded.
It's a good reminder that at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
the Obamas were a family,
Right.
navigating life's ups and downs just like the rest of us.
And as their time in the White House drew to a close,
Yeah.
Michelle took time to reflect on everything she had learned and experienced.
And becoming, ultimately, is this powerful message of hope and empowerment.
Right.
She encourages us all to use our voices
Find our purpose.
and make a difference in the world no matter how big or small.
It leaves us with this thought-provoking question.
What's that?
What will your becoming look like?
Ooh, I like that.
How will you use your own experiences Your values, your unique voice.
to shape the world around you.
It's something to think about, isn't it?
It really is. And on that note, we're wrapping up our deep dive into becoming.
Hope you enjoyed it.
We hope you found it insightful, engaging, and maybe even a little inspiring. Until next time.